You are listening to Lone Star Community Radio on 104.5 KCZWLP Conroe and 106.1 KZCCLP Conroe and worldwide on irlonestar.com.
Welcome to Your Career. I'm your host and resident career expert, Todd Bermont, and we are coming to you live from beautiful downtown Conroe, Texas on irlonestar.com, 104.5, 106.1, and yeah, from what I understand, there's going to be, Jake, there's going to be a great music festival, you were saying, down here in Conroe?
Yeah, the Conroe Americana Music Festival. I'm super excited.
Outstanding. Well, that's just the perfect ending to what really is a great week. For those of you in the audience that you're not happy with your current job, or you're looking to make a career move, or maybe you're still currently unemployed, got great news on the horizon this week. First of all, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Todd Bermont, and I am the author of 10 Insider Secrets to Winning Job Search. I also have created an online curriculum that can be found at tcclearning.com. That's tcclearning.com. And my full-time job, believe it or not, I head up sales and marketing for a company called Evolve, and we design and build data centers. So first of all, I want to talk about an exciting jobs report today. On the first Friday of the month, we always get the previous month's jobs numbers, and this report was outstanding. Over 211,000 jobs created this past month, and so that is just a stellar showing. And in addition to that, the unemployment rate, although sometimes I take the unemployment rate with a little bit of grain of salt because they don't count everybody in these unemployment rates, but it was an unbelievably low number of 4.4% unemployment. And likely the real number is still maybe double that, but that's still way, way better than we've been in a long, long time. So those of you in the audience, there is plenty of room for optimism, and there has not been a better time in probably the last decade to go out there and find a great job. So with that, a lot of you will be looking for a job, and we take a question of the week, and we've handled this question in the past, but it keeps coming up so many times that we're gonna talk about the question of the week again, and that's, how do you handle the salary question? When somebody asks you, so how much are you making on your current job, or what are you looking to earn? And a lot of people are not sure how they should answer that. Now, a lot of folks will say, well, when I apply online, they force me to enter in the number. Well, they don't necessarily always force you to do that. You could try to put in a phrase like negotiable or open or some other vague phrase like that. But if they absolutely insist that you choose a number, well, you could enter in $1, or you could enter in $1 million. And make it so crazy either way that, that they, at the end of the day, they know that they need to talk to you to find out what your real expectations are. But this is why I'm really against the online applications. There are so many. First of all, your odds are so low of getting a job through an online application. And secondly, it's like playing a poker hand where you have to show all your cards and the other player doesn't. And that's not real fair. So we're going to talk to we have a special guest today that's backed from, popular demand. We had him on the program a couple months ago, and we had such a positive response that we're having him back on the program. We're going to talk about this question of the week with him. But, as far as my answer when you get asked this in the interview, the best way to answer that question is with a question. So if somebody says, well, how much are you looking to earn? You could say, well, that's a great question. And it really depends on the benefits, the responsibilities, the expectations, the compensation plan. There's a lot of things that go into it. What range were you targeting for this position? Make them show their hands first. Don't you show your hand. So on today's program, we're going to talk about a few things with our special guest, Dave Di Vincenzo, who's going to be coming to us today from somewhere in the Chicagoland area. We'll find out where in a moment. And we're going to talk to Dave about, first of all, those of you that are looking to find a new job, how do you go about finding them? And if Todd here is saying that you shouldn't do online applications, well, then how should you do it? So we're going to ask Dave some of these questions. Also, we're going to talk about some interviewing strategies. And then, but before we go to break, we've also got a lot of questions about, well, how, do you take sponsors for the show, and how do you go about sponsoring the show? And you absolutely can sponsor the show. We have a wide variety of listeners, and it's a tremendous value for your investment. So reach out to me at tbermont@irlonestar.com. That's tbermont@irlonestar.com if you're interested in sponsoring the show. So with that, we're going to go to a break. And when we come back, we are going to bring on Dave Di Vincenzo from Chicago. So you are listening to Your Career with Todd Bermont on irlonestar.com. Stay tuned.
Thanks for checking out this recording from Lone Star Community Radio. Lone Star Community Radio is Montgomery County's community radio station and broadcasted live from Conroe, Texas on irlonestar.com and Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1. Interested in sponsoring this show, being a guest, hosting your own show? And please visit us online at irlonestar.com and check out the Contact Us page. We want to say thank you to our studio supporters. Our traffic sponsor, Conroe Americana Music Festival at conroeamericanamusicfestival.com. For more information about the show, please check out the information below in the description.
Welcome back to Your Career. I'm your host and resident career expert, Todd Bermont, and coming to you on just an absolutely gorgeous day down here in Conroe, Texas. And I am really excited today because we had such a positive response to this guest, and when we had him on the program a couple months ago, that I just had to call him back to the program. And our guest today is Dave Di Vincenzo, and I've known Dave for many, many years, and Dave is a sales executive up in the Chicago area, and he's got over 30 years of sales and sales management experience, and a bit of job search experience over the years too. So we're going to have a lot of fun today on the program, and I would like to welcome Dave to the program. Good afternoon, Dave.
Good afternoon, Todd.
So, how's the weather up in Chicago? Last time we were talking, I think it was pouring rain and cold up there. How is it today?
62 degrees, sunny out, and windy, but I'll take this day over any of them.
All right. Well, don't try to become a weatherman and give up your day job yet. So, anyway, Dave, we had a question of the week a couple minutes ago, and it was the age-old question on salary. And and I'm really curious, before we dive into how you go about getting interviews and all that, I'd love to get the guest feedback on the question of the week. And with the salary question, when somebody on the interview says, well, how much are you looking to earn? My recommendation was that you try to answer that question with a question. But well, what range are you targeting for this position? Go through, a little diatribe and then say at the end, yeah, well, what range were you targeting for the position? Try to get them to show their deck of cards, if you will. But, I'm curious from your perspective, because you're a sales professional, Dave, and I'm curious, when you've been on interviews in the past and somebody says, well, Mr. Di Vincenzo, I'm not sure we can afford you. How much are you looking to earn in this position? How do you answer that question?
Straight to the point, Todd. I'll start at $1 million a year and work my way up from there.
Now, come on. What do you really say on the interview?
I'll start at $1 million and work my way up from there. It's an immediate icebreaker. It's just an immediate icebreaker, and I haven't had anybody come back and say, okay, thank you very much for your time. Have a good day. So long, you're out of the running. Everybody laughs. Everybody thinks it's hysterical, and it just opens up the door for a nice, natural, normal, give and take conversation.
And do you find that they keep hammering you on it, or do they kind of go on to a different topic after you crack them up with that response?
They don't know what to say. They go on to a different subject most of the time.
I love it. I love it. So, a lot of people, we were talking about the jobs report as well, Dave, and this month's jobs report was outstanding. Only 4.4% unemployment, over 200,000 jobs created this past month. So, likely there's going to be a lot of people saying, you know what, I'm kind of tired of the job I'm in, and maybe I'm going to look for something better. And I'm curious because a lot of people, just think that you can send resumes online and do the online applications and get interviews that way. It's kind of the easy way out, I suppose. But I'm curious, you've been in the shoes of a job seeker a couple times, and, I'm curious what you've found over the years as being the best way to find job opportunities.
Well, when we last spoke, we had mentioned the networking piece of it, warm referrals. But I think the best way to go about finding a job that you're interested in, remember, it's got to be, you got to want the job and they got to want you.
That's right.
So why would you go after a position, and why would you go after a role with a company you don't want to work for, and two, in a position that you have, one, knows the skill set not to be able to achieve the goals and what they're looking for. Secondly is you don't want to do that particular job.
Sure.
So I've come to find that LinkedIn is a great source of jobs, job opportunities in any type of anywhere in the world, any city, major. I would say any really like major metropolitan city, and it gives you a really good idea of what they're looking for, the skill set they're looking for, and kind of the responsibilities and what the position entitles.
For those folks in the audience that might not be familiar with what LinkedIn is, what exactly is LinkedIn?
It's a Facebook for business professionals to share ideas, collaborate ideas, and it's also a place where people go to look for jobs and look for new employment. And also to look for decision makers for people that you want to do business with.
Absolutely. So I'm curious, when you use LinkedIn, do you look at their job postings, or help the audience understand what's the process you use LinkedIn for when you go about looking for a job at a company you want to work?
Well, right on the top, there's a jobs tab.
Okay.
And you can navigate to the jobs tab. And then there's filters on the left-hand side. If you're looking to relocate, I live in the Chicago area. If I want to come down and live next door to you, I'm gonna look for a place.
There goes the neighborhood.
There goes the neighborhood. That's right. Here comes a whole truckload of Italians coming down to Texas. You got a problem? You got a problem with that?
Yeah, we'll send you through Baton Rouge.
Exactly. Yeah. You didn't see nothing. Forget about it. But anyway, if you're looking to relocate, you can choose the city you want to go to. Within how many miles? If you want to work, 20 miles outside, any job that's outside in 20 miles of Dallas, Texas, or Houston, Texas, or geographically, you can search that way. You can look for sales jobs. You can look for medical jobs. You can look for technical jobs, engineering jobs. There's all different types of filters that are designed to help you drill down to your dream opportunity. Your dream opportunity.
All right. Well, I'll grant you that with the jobs tab, but a lot of people don't advertise job openings, and so I'm curious how you would go about using LinkedIn where there's not necessarily an opportunity, but that is published, But, like let's say you wanted to work for IBM or a company like that. How would you go about using LinkedIn to see if you could get an informational interview?
I would go into my, there's different layers of connections.
Yep.
So there's first, second, and third connections. Reach out to your first connections and go to your first connections. And if you know someone that works at IBM or your first connection has people that work at IBM, you're kind of tied to them. And you can, what's the term they want to use in Facebook? Creep, stalk. I can't remember, but you can work your
now
way
you're
through
scaring
the system.
me. You said you got an Italian background and you're talking that way? Yeah, just stay in Louisiana.
Yeah. There's a term for it. I really can't remember, but you can navigate your way through. So let's take the situation, Todd, because it gives you a nice segue. Is let's say you find the job you're looking for. Let's split it off one way. Don't know where you're looking for, but you got an opportunity. Here's the perfect job, and you see here's the recruiter.
Okay.
And we talked about this last time, and you and I talk about this all the time. Recruiters are getting inundated every single day. Hundreds of applications, hundreds of resumes.
Yep.
If the job is on LinkedIn, I can pretty much guarantee that it's going to be on Monster, it's going to be on Career Builder, it's going to be on ZipRecruiter, it's going to be out there on all of the job boards, and they're going to try to get as many candidates as they can.
Yep.
And they're just going to if they get 5 seconds, you got 5 seconds to thrill them with possibly something on the first 10 words of your resume that you may get a call, you may not. 90% of the time, you won't get a call, you won't get a letter, you won't get a rejection letter, you'll get nothing.
Yep.
So what I've done in the past is, to hell with the recruiter, on the right side of the LinkedIn screen will show other recruiters. If you click on the other recruiters that work in the company, you may find the director of recruiting. You may find the sales manager. If you find the director of the recruiting, you may find the head of HR. If you find the head of HR, you might find the VP of sales, and you just work your way back up the food chain until you find the VP of sales or the sales director of the area.
That's if you're
all
going.
that information.
So that's if you're going for a sales position. Now,
right, and
if you're going for like an accounting position or something like that, you might want to look for like the CFO or the director of finance or something like that, right?
Right. Yes, exactly. If you're looking for an engineering degree, if you're looking for an engineer position, then you're going to be looking for the COO, the CIO, something like that.
Outstanding. So okay. So you click on the person. Now what do you do?
Call the company up, find their corporate website, ask the main number, and my strategy is I call them right up. I ask for them. I call right up to the corporate office, and I ask for, looking for Todd Bermont, please.
Wait a minute. Now, come on. This is the internet age here, right? Everybody's texting on their cell phones, iPods, iPads, mobile devices, you name it. You're telling me to pick up the phone and call the person? Who talks on the phone in today's day and age?
Every time I get into LinkedIn, I get emails, I see screenshots, I see ads. Cold calling is dead. Pick up the phone. Pick up the phone, reach out and touch someone. Pick up the phone and call. You want to differentiate yourself? Pick up the phone and call. Put a 30-second script together.
So
what have you done?
So what's your calling strategy? Like, let's say you try dialing the person and you get the voicemail. What do you do?
I don't leave a voicemail.
You don't leave
Never leave a voicemail.
You don't leave a voicemail, then what do you do?
Call him back. He may be in a meeting. He may be in the bathroom. He may be out having a cigarette. He may be on the other line talking. I'm hoping that he picks up the phone after the fourth or fifth call and says, "What the hell do you want?"
and when they pick up the phone and say, "What the heck do you want?" what do you say?
My name's Dave Di Vincenzo. I'm calling in regards to a position that's open at IBM. Currently, I am in this role, and I understand that you might be the person who would be the hiring manager for this position. And I'd like to schedule a 15-minute phone call with you to discuss my skill sets, my experience, and how I would be a great fit and an asset to IBM for this role. How about next Wednesday at 10?
I love it. Direct to the point, and so what if they hem and haw, and say, nah, I'm booked on Wednesday at 10. Then what do you do?
How about Tuesday at 3?
You just you keep throwing days and times at them until they finally give.
Give their prop, and then I'm not the right person. Oh, well, who is? Who would be the person? The hiring manager, or the sales manager, or the director of engineering, or the director of nursing, or the imaging director for a hospital? Who would I need to talk to about this position? I've got the skill set. I have been responsible for data imaging and data collection for my company for the last 5 years. Who would I need to talk to?
And do you find that they're usually
Now you're opening up a conversation with the guy.
So do you find that they're usually willing to help you out?
Oh, yeah. I was wondering if you could help me. Yeah, okay, I'm not the person. Well, help me out. Who would be the person? Who's the guy I need to talk to? Hook me up. Everybody's looked for a job at one point in their life, Todd. Everybody has. That's
true. So how many times on average does it take? And we've got just a couple minutes before we got to go to a break. But, I'm curious how many times it takes on average before you actually reach a person.
Probably 4, 5, 6 times.
And a lot of people are scared to death of calling somebody out of the blue on the phone. I mean, do you find that they bite your head off, or it's not such a bad experience?
They got to be professional too. They're representing their company, and as long as you're professional and you treat them with respect, and you give them, you're not taking up their time, and you're calling for a specific reason, and you give them a day and time. You know what? They're pretty understanding, and they'll 9 times out of 10 they'll help you out. The other thing is, what I'd like to do is, if I can't get to the if I'm calling the CFO or the CMO or the CIO, I'll ask for their admin.
Yeah, that's a great strategy. Well, when we come back from the break, I want to close out this thought process on getting past the admin. But you are currently listening to Your Career with Todd Bermont on IRLoneStar.com. Stay tuned.
Don't forget to download the Lone Star Community Radio app from your Google Play or Apple Store. Bring Montgomery County's community radio with you anywhere with your smartphone or tablet. If you are in the Conroe area, tune in on FM. That's Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1. If you are on the computer, bookmark IRLoneStar.com as your internet radio station. A Lone Star Community Radio. Broadcasting 24/7 from the heart of downtown Conroe, Texas.
Welcome back to Your Career. I'm your host and resident career expert, Todd Bermont, and we are coming to you live from beautiful downtown Conroe, Texas. And I'm thinking, after hearing that traffic report, maybe I should get a hotel room up here tonight, because that traffic going back down to Lake City does not sound good. But anyway, going into the break, first of all, we have a special guest in our program today, Dave Di Vincenzo, coming to us live from Chicago. And what part of Chicago are you in today, Dave?
Actually, Todd, I'm about 5 minutes south of the Joliet Stateville Correctional Center.
You're home away from home, huh?
You betcha. My college, my alma mater. I went to college there for 4 or 5 years.
Wasn't that the prison that was in Blues Brothers?
Yeah, that's where he came out of, the Joliet Correctional Facility.
Oh, you're killing me here. So
they serve a wicked pepper steak there on Friday nights.
Anyway, going in the break, you were talking about. I think you had a thought process, and I cut you off with the break. And I think you had a thought process on how you go about using your system, for a real life example. And I was wondering if you could kind of share that with us.
Well, my wife had LASIK done about 12 years ago, and over the last 4 or 5 months, her vision in one of her eyes has gotten progressively worse, and the doctor had diagnosed her with cataracts. Well, over the last month, we're trying to get her set up to have surgery done. The eye doctor and the eye surgeon is in network with our insurance agency, our insurance carrier, but the facility that he works or he does the actual surgery is not.
Okay.
His office is called many times. She has called many times to our carrier. And as of this past Monday, they told her, go find another eye doctor. Well, that didn't. You know me well enough. That didn't sit well with me. The company that I'm with right now, I called our HR director, and I said, I'm not waiting for her to call me back. And I went online, and I searched the internet, and I got the CEO, the COO, and there was a vice president of market solutions, something. It was a vice president.
Okay.
And I looked online for the insurance carrier's corporate office phone number.
Okay.
Called the office phone number, and I asked for the CEO. Well, he don't take calls. Well, how about this person? Well, is this a complaint? Yes, it is. Well, hold on 1 second, and I'll get you to the customer advocacy area.
Okay.
And within 2 minutes, I got this nice girl on the phone, and she told me she promised me by today she would have an answer, but it looks like they're going to make an exception and allow Becky to choose the doctor that she wants to go. It's just, you know what? You just got to be aggressive. You got to go after it. And if you really want a job, and if you really want a specific role, don't be afraid to go after it.
Well, and that's an important that's an important point because one of the things that we talk about quite often on this program is the fact that 8 out of every 10 jobs are never advertised. And, so the key is to determine, well, what job do you really want to do? And to try to create a position, for what you want to do within an employer where you want to work. I'm sure a lot of folks in this audience, you have a great idea of, boy, I would love to work with, maybe ExxonMobil or Chevron or Valero or some of the oil and gas firms or maybe MD Anderson or something like that. And, but, don't get frustrated just because a position's not posted. Again, 8 out of every 10 positions are never posted. So, like Dave's saying on the other end, go out there and grab it. Go on LinkedIn, find out who the hiring managers are, and reach out to those individuals directly. So, any other thoughts on LinkedIn before, I'd like to dive into, actually, Dave, I'd like to ask you a question, related to LinkedIn. I'm curious, you've done job search, and, a lot of folks in this audience, they'll submit online applications, they'll try quote unquote networking, they'll, try a variety of methods. I'm curious, the results you've seen and how successful you've been with the online applications versus using like a LinkedIn and stuff like that to find a job.
the reason that I use LinkedIn, Todd, is I want to get people's names. In today's world, the idea of making a phone call, just as you said earlier, what do you mean you pick up the phone and make a call? The millennials and the way technology is today, nobody talks to one another. It's either a text message or an email or an IM or a tweet or Facebook, or you communicate via LinkedIn. Find the person, use LinkedIn, find the person that you feel is the hiring manager or the recruiter. Hey, you know what? Call up and make friends with a recruiter. Find a recruiter in your area. Call them up. Hey, you know what? I'm looking. This is what I do. This is what I'm great in. Let me send you my resume. Take a look at it. Call them up and talk to them. Get them on the phone. That might not be a bad way. I've got 2 or 3 recruiters for two large cellular companies that I still call every now and then. What's going on? I still keep in contact with them.
Oh, that's interesting. Because a lot of people, they think, well, because you're gainfully employed right now and you like your job. A lot of people would think, well, why call a recruiter when you got a job and you're happy with the job? So I'd like you to elaborate on that point, because that's actually a great point.
Well, I landed this job. Let's see. The last job I had, I was very happy with. And the recruiter called me, and we talked about this story. I answered the phone. Hello, this is Dave. He goes, Dave, this is Mike Schmidt from... And I started laughing. I go, yeah, Mike, you gonna start crying on the phone to me now to tell me how good baseball was to you? And he's like, excuse me? I said, this is Mike Schmidt from the Philadelphia Phillies, right? No, this is Mike Schmidt from... I said, wait a minute, stop a second. Hold on, Mike, you got to realize something, that I'm a comedian and a practical joker, and I honestly thought someone was playing me a practical joke back with the Mike Schmidt thing. Let's start this whole conversation all over again. Well, he understood. He started laughing about it. I got through the first meeting with him, the second meeting with his boss, who was a recruiting manager, the third meeting, who was the HR manager, and then they put me in contact with one of the sales managers in the area, one of the managers. And by the time I got to the 4th interview, it was the 3rd week in September. The Cubs were on the World Series, or the baseball playoffs, and the gentleman that I talked to was from Columbus, Ohio. And the first 10 minutes on the phone call was me telling him about my prophecy of the Cubs going into the World Series, getting to the World Series, getting all the way to Game 7, beating up 5-4 at the bottom of the ninth just to lose 6-5 to see who they were going to blame it on this year. And again, that built rapport. That opened up a normal conversation. It took it from interviewer to interviewee to 2 guys talking on the phone, and I got the job.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, you should have been listening to our program. What was it, last week, Jake?
Yes, sir.
Last week we had Jake the intern on the program, and Jake's actually done sports broadcasting for Sam Houston, and I was just totally intrigued about all the broadcasting experience, because that had always been a dream of mine. And by the way, did you start that new gig at Fox?
I did. I started on Thursday, and Dave, you would have been very proud of me. I am a millennial, but the current job I have here at this radio station I got because I cold called a bunch of radio stations and basically found one that was willing to bring me on as an intern. And with the Fox Sports job here in the Woodlands that I just started, I got basically because I kept pestering the hiring manager.
Let's take that word you just said, Jake. There's a difference, a very, very big difference between you weren't being a pest, you were persistent.
I was persistent with him. Yes, there we go. That's the better way of putting it.
No. And I make, you know what? And it's very important that, and I tell the hiring managers, I tell the people, all right, I'm going to call you next week if I don't hear from you. Is that okay? Yes. And I call them. And after I'll leave, if it's the hiring manager and they say to call them, hey, it's Dave D, I'm calling you back. I'll get to these people. I ask them for their cell number.
Yeah.
What's your cell? Here's my cell. Here's my cell number. What is your cell number?
And I think the biggest problem.
Here it is. Great.
The biggest problem with the millennials in that generation, it's they grew up without having to really communicate face to face, and so they lack the confidence to actually do it. Now, I'm just extremely outgoing, and I've like being on the radio, and so I've got that confidence. I just think it's really a lack of confidence in being able to talk face to face with people, and that's the reason why they don't do it.
Well, and Jake, you weren't just born with that confidence. I'm curious, through the course of your life, how did you build that kind of confidence? Because you're right, a lot of your peers don't have it.
I played sports. That was what built my confidence, and I was athletic. So, and there's different things, and people find things when they're young that they're good at, and that builds a lot of confidence. And my thing was sports, so I always had a passion for it. So,
awesome. Well, Dave, I want you to hold on because we've got to go to a break here. But when we come back, I want to continue to have this three-way conversation going because this is great. Because this is real life, folks. So you are currently listening to Your Career with Todd Bermont on irlonestar.com. Stay tuned.
Absolutely hysterical. I wish everybody would do this.
A Lone Star Community Radio is looking for those who are interested in hosting their own talk show with monthly and weekly slots available on Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1, and on irlonestar.com. Start your own podcast, create your first YouTube channel, and be on TV. Contact Lone Star Community Radio online at irlonestar.com or call the station message line at 936-647-3776 to take your first step into the radio world.
Welcome back to Your Career. I'm your host and resident career expert, Todd Bermont, and just losing all control of the conversation here going into the break, but we're having a lot of fun bantering back and forth, and once again, I cut off Dave up in Chicago. I don't know, those Southside Chicagoans, you just can't get a word in edgewise. So, Dave, welcome back. We cut you off going into the break. What was your thoughts going into the break? Because I had a feeling you were going to say something to Jake.
First off, you cut me off like that one more time, and there's going to be a couple guys in a black sedan wearing fedoras waiting at your front door tonight. Secondly, hey, Jake, don't ever change the way you give the traffic reports. During the break, I was listening to it. I was in tears. I was laughing so hard.
Oh, yeah?
I wish everybody... Oh, it was great. This was absolutely fantastic. There's a mess everywhere. There's violence everywhere.
Well, I can go the normal route and be, the boring, bland radio, news guy, but it's like you get that everywhere else. This is community radio. This is fun radio. This is unique radio. So that's my unique contribution.
Well, I'd like to keep the dialogue going here because, Dave, last week when I had Jake on the program, I have to say it was one of the most motivating programs that I've ever done here at the radio station, just because Jake's enthusiasm and his drive and tenacity just really pumped me up and really carried me through the whole weekend. It was awesome, and so
did it want to make you make some cold calls, Todd?
I wish I could have Jake make some cold calls for me. I'd probably be increasing business. So
there you go, Jake. There's another job opportunity for you.
Yeah, how much you pay, Todd?
It's called hey, Jake. It's not cold calling. It's called lead generation.
Yeah, there we go.
So Jake, we talked about this a little bit last week, but Dave seems to pride himself as being the cold calling expert. And I was wondering if you could kind of rehash the script that you used when you were calling the local radio station.
I mean, it was very similar to what David said was, and it was hi, good afternoon. My name is Jacob LaFleur. I'm calling in regards of to inquire about any open positions here with your radio station. I've got experience up at Sam Houston and working within the radio industry, and I would love to become part of your team, and I think I can be a real asset to X radio station, and I would love to talk to you further about possibly scheduling an interview coming up in the near future. So something along those lines. I had a better script to memorize at that point because I was doing it so many times.
Well, and that's an important thing to talk about. And Dave, I was wondering if you could kind of talk about the importance of practicing your script and actually writing it out and stuff. Can you talk to that a little bit?
Oh yeah, write it out. Memorize it, know it word for word, know it verbatim, because they may throw you a curveball, and you may have to answer a question and come right back to where you picked up where you left off on the script.
So, do you use the same script for everybody you call, or do you develop different scripts, Dave? How do you go about doing that?
The format pretty much stays the same, but the verbiage changes.
Okay.
The introduction, the reason for the call, my 5 to 10 second commercial of what I've done, and the close is I want to set up a 15 to 20 minute phone call with you to discuss my skill sets and how I can be an asset to this company with this position. How about next Tuesday at 10?
I like that. I've never thought about doing the actual suggestion of a time or a place or anything like that. I think I'm going to add that to my repertoire.
Yeah, you learned that technique from somewhere, right, Dave?
Yes.
Was this a double, triple secret or something, or can you share it with us on the radio?
You tell me, can I?
Sure.
Keep it PG.
No, it's not about being PG. I just, you know what? I worked for a very large. I went to work for at the time a baby telecommunications company that is now has been gobbled up, and everybody had the beep beep phone in their hands at one time. Mm-hmm. And when I went to work for the beep beep company, they brought a gentleman in Chicago by the name of Steve Schiffman, and I learned how to cold call from Steve Schiffman. And I have taken his techniques, I've improved them, tweaked them, modified them, but it still goes back to the format doesn't change, the wording may change, but it's the introduction, the reason, the 10 to 15 second commercial, and the close for the appointment. And Jake, the reason you want to close for the day and time is you take that conversation from if we're going to meet to when are we going to meet.
Yeah, and it implies even a further level of confidence as well as it keeps that. It at least gets another step to the conversation, and it allows them to continue it, even if it's hey, I'm not the right guy, but this person might be. It just makes sure that the conversation doesn't end there.
Yep, absolutely.
And that's one of the things that really motivated me about Jake's story last week is the fact that you're interested in getting into sports broadcasting of some sort or a sports talk show or whatever, and you're going out there and you're making your career. You're not waiting for a position to open or an opportunity. You're making it happen. You're creating it.
I don't have the luxury of having connections within this industry. Like if I had gone into oil and gas, I've got plenty of connections there. So yeah, I've kind of got to make it happen on my own. Otherwise, I'll be living under 45, begging for change.
Hey, Jake, you've got plenty of connections in the sports industry. You want to know why?
Why?
Because of your connections in the oil and gas industry. You don't think that those people know
Yeah, they've got to know somebody up in the Texans office or something, or the Rockets or Astros.
You don't think that those big oil companies and the gas companies advertise on TV and radio?
That's true. I never even thought about that.
Use those connections, Jake.
That's funny. I never even thought about that. That's good advice. I like that.
He wasn't listening to the earlier segments, Todd, when we were talking about networking and referrals.
No, actually, we had Mr. Producer was on at that point. The station manager did the program that week, but I just lost my train of thought. This has been one of those days.
It has.
But
shut up! I don't have to.
Yeah. So anyway, Dave, we've only got about 2 minutes and 30 seconds left on the program, and we're going to take it right to the end. I mean, first of all, those of you, next week, before I lose my train of thought, we are going to have a program dedicated to veterans. So those of you who are veterans in the audience, we're going to have a couple veterans on the program next week. But before we close, Dave, any final thoughts or words of advice from you for your career listeners?
I'm going to go right back to a statement that Jake made when he said, I have connections in the oil and gas industry, but I don't know anybody in the sports or advertising world.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody knows someone. 6 degrees of separation. Think about it. You have contacts. You have friends. You go a guy. Somebody knows somebody. Reach out. Make the phone calls and start calling people. Put the texting down. Put the emails down. Pick up the phone and call someone.
Outstanding. Well, Dave, as always, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on the program today. I have a feeling we're going to have you back by popular demand again. And Jake, I want to thank you as well. I just love it, making it real. And so folks, you've been listening to Your Career with Todd Bermont on IRLoneStar.com. Next week, we are going to be dedicating the show to veterans and talking all about how veterans can leverage their experience from the military and translate that into landing a civilian job. So thank you so much for listening, and have a successful weekend. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks for checking out this recording from Lone Star Community Radio. Lone Star Community Radio is Montgomery County's community radio station, broadcasted live from Conroe, Texas on IRLoneStar.com and Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1. Interested in sponsoring this show, being a guest, hosting your own show? Then please visit us online at IRLoneStar.com and check out the Contact Us page. We want to say thank you to our studio supporters. Our traffic sponsor, Conroe Americana Music Festival at ConroeAmericanaMusicFestival.com. For more information about the show, please check out the information below in the description.